My name is Iris. I'm 32 years old. And for 10 years, I let people believe a falsehood about me. Not because I was terrified of what was true. But the truth didn't have any power yet. It was the rainiest night of the year when my life changed forever. Rain that feels like it's meant for you. A lot. Unstoppable. It feels like it's trying to wash you away. I was standing on the porch of my parents' house in Connecticut with a bag that wouldn't close all the way and $47 in my pocket. That was all I had. The chandelier inside the house shone with a warm, golden light. The one my mother chose for their 25th anniversary. Expensive. Just right. Not affected by the storm. It was impossible to open the door. I had still been inside 30 minutes before. Laughter. Grinning. Acting. 30 minutes before, I still thought my dad might finally see me the way he viewed my son. I was wrong. We were all eating in my grandfather's favorite Italian restaurant 2 hours before that porch. Tablecloths that are white. Dim illumination. Waiters who remembered our last names like they mattered. My dad rented out the whole back room. 32 seats. Wine that cost more per bottle than my weekly groceries. A 3-tier cake that was flown in from Hartford. Everyone was happy for my grandfather's 80th birthday. I had a letter in my backpack that seemed heavier than anything else I had ever carried. I was 22 years old. Last semester of college. Admitted to one of the best architecture schools in the country. A year costs $45,000. I had practiced what I was going to say for weeks. I carefully timed the occasion. Family is here. Good mood. People who saw it. I thought that would make him fair. I waited until the cake was cut and the coffee was served. Then I gingerly stroked his elbow. Can we have a quick chat? I asked. Privately. He looked at me. The light shone on his Rolex. He grinned, but his eyes stayed frigid. He said, say whatever you need to say here. We are all family. I should have left. But I was only 22. And I still believed in the version of my dad that was solely in my imagination. So I told him. About the acceptance. The plan. The work I had done. The dream I had kept to myself for years. Then I posed the question that ended it all. I was hoping you could help me like you helped Derek. Derek, my brother, was 3 seats away. 18 years old. A brand new BMW. He paid for college before he even graduated high school. He never said anything. My dad didn't blink. Help you? He said it again slowly. The way I helped Derek? Then he started to laugh. He got up from his chair, and all of a sudden, everyone in the room stopped talking. 32 people looked at us. My aunts. My uncles. My cousins. My grandfather holding his coffee cup halfway to his mouth. My mom sat still as a rock. The Hermes scarf is in the right place. Staring at her plate. I could hear my father's voice all the way across the room. You think you deserve the same thing as your brother? My face hurt. He said, Derek is my son. He'll carry on the family name. He'll make something. Then he looked at me like I was a bother. And you? He waved me off. You're a girl. You will get married. Take the name of someone else. Raise their kids. People moved around in their chairs. Why would I spend money on a degree you'll never use? I said, Dad. Please. Let's talk about this in private. He yelled, there's nothing to talk about. You want cash? Go get it yourself. He moved closer. Derek never had to beg because he knows where he stands. Then, in a voice that was quiet enough for only me to hear, "You don't even know what you are." I looked at Derek. He looked at his phone. I looked at my mom. She moved her napkin around. I looked at my grandpa. He cleared his throat. "Howard," he whispered in a gentle voice. "Don't ruin the party." That was all. My dad leaned in close to my ear. His cologne was really strong and expensive. He muttered, "I'll email you my reasons. So you know where you fit in this family." 3 days later, I opened that email while sitting on a narrow mattress in a leased room that cost $400 a month. Instant ramen sat chilly next to me on the desk. The words hurt. "Iris, you were born a female. That's how things are. You can't ask for something that belongs to your brother. This family will be led by Derek. You are nothing more than a gift to another family. Don't call me again unless you're ready to say you're sorry for making me look bad in front of everyone." I read it again. And again. My finger was about to hit erase. Then I was stopped by something. I clicked save instead. I made a folder. I called it evidence. I had no idea why. I knew that one day, when the lie became loud enough, I would have to show that I wasn't just making things up. My mom called a week later. She spoke in a low voice, like if she were hiding from her own existence. "I love you," she said. "You know I love you. Then why didn't you say anything?" I asked. "Be quiet." Finally, she continued, "You know how your father is. If I had defended you, he would have." She came to a stop. "I don't have anywhere to go," she said in a low voice. "I don't have any money." "I got it." She said something that didn't make sense before she hung up. She said, "Your father is telling people things about you. Things that aren't real." 2 months later, I understood exactly what she meant. And that's when I realized. This wasn't just a no. It was gone. It all started with a phone call that sounded nice. Too nice. My phone rang when I was sitting at the small desk in my flat, which was full of textbooks and notes that I hadn't finished. The screen lit up with the name of my Aunt Helen. She has always been nice to me. The aunt who put extra dessert on my plate when no one was looking. "Iris, sweetheart," she said gently. "How are you feeling?" I frowned. "Okay," I said. "Why?" There was a break. Just the right amount of time. "Are you getting the help you need?" I felt sick to my stomach. "What help? Why?" I asked. She took a deep breath and let it out slowly, as if she were picking words for a scared kid. "Your treatment, sweetheart. We heard about your illness from your father." The room felt like it tilted. I said, "I don't have a condition." "What are you saying?" She whispered quietly, "Oh, Iris. It's okay. There is no reason to be ashamed about having a mental disease. We are all praying for you." I held on to the desk's edge. I said softly, "And Helen. I'm not crazy." She didn't fight back. That made me afraid. She just talked to him more softly. That night, I called more family members. One at a time. Every time we talked, it seemed like hitting the same wall. Everyone knew. They all thought of me in the same way. She isn't stable. She left home because she didn't want to get help. We tried everything. My cousin Sarah finally sent me screenshots from the family group chat. The one I had been gently taken out of months before. My father's words, copied and pasted to over 40 people. "Please don't get in touch with Iris. She is having a very bad mental health problem. Anything that gets them excited could make matters worse. We've done everything we can. Just pray for her. At that point, something inside me stopped moving. My dad wasn't perplexed. He wasn't lying. He was writing me again. He was using my absence as proof that I was sick. Making my silence into proof. I was unsteady if I talked. I was sick if I didn't say something. It was a perfect trap. I had two options. I could fight. Call everyone. Send the email on. Tell them to believe me instead of him. Or I could go away for a while to make something that can't be denied. I was 22 years old. No money. No name. No safety net. People trusted my father's voice and had 30 years of reputation. I would lose if I fought him then. So I didn't fight. I wrote it down. I took a screenshot of every message. Kept every email. Dates, names, and exact words were written down. Then I did some work. I got loans from the government. I applied for every scholarship I could find. Worked in a coffee shop in the morning and at the front desk of a design firm at night. I studied in the middle. I slept for 4 hours some evenings. Not at all some nights. There were times when I looked at the ceiling and thought about what he said. If asking was the wrong thing to do. If wanting more had made me ungrateful. But every time that thought crept in, I opened the folder. Proof. I read what he wrote again. And the doubt burned away. Eleanor Vance came into my life during my second year. She was 70 years old. Famous. In every design room I've ever been in, people said this name with respect. She stopped me after her lecture. You worked on the Morrison project, she remarked. The idea of adaptive reuse. I nodded, amazed that she knew my name. She remarked, it was great. Tell me about your past. I thought about it for a moment. I had learned how to avoid that inquiry. Finally, I added, my family doesn't support my career. We're not in touch. She nodded once. She stated, my dad told me women shouldn't be architects. He didn't talk to me for 15 years after I signed up. She then gave me a business card. No pay, she said. But I'll teach you everything. That summer made everything different. Eleanor didn't just teach me design. She taught me how to hold back. Success isn't about convincing people, she told me one night as we worked late. It's about removing their ability to doubt you. That sentence was like armor to me. I graduated with honors. My dad didn't come. I didn't think he would. I got a junior job at a tiny company. Not enough money to live on. I remained late. Took on projects that no one else desired. I received a local award for my first solo design. Eleanor told me to go to a studio in Chicago. I moved across the country with 2 bags and a folder of sketches. I became the lead designer after a year and a half. I was in charge of my own team after 3 years. And still, the untruth stayed with me. At a trade show, a man looked at me like he had seen a ghost. Is this Iris Mercer? He asked, what? Howard's daughter. Yes, I answered. But he said you were. He came to a stop. I smiled nicely and gave him my card. The silence that came after was louder than any fight. The wedding invitation followed next. Cream-colored cardstock. Writing by hand. Official. No note. No need to say sorry. Just my name on a list. My mom called, and her voice was weak. Will you come? She inquired. Please. I miss you. Does he even want me to be there? I asked. Be quiet. Just don't make your dad look bad, she said softly. That one sentence told me everything. I went anyhow. Not to make a scene. To hear. And what I heard that night altered everything. Because my dad kept lying. He made it perfect. And standing 15 feet away from him, I heard him tell passers-by that I was unstable. I figured out something scary. If I never spoke again, this version of me would live longer than I would. It felt like strolling through a museum of my old life at the wedding reception. Chandeliers made of crystal. There are white roses all over. A string quartet played softly, as if beauty could make the truth less harsh. I carefully walked around the room, trying not to get noticed. I didn't go there to fight with anyone. I wasn't there to talk about myself. I was there to hear. My dad saw me as soon as I stepped in. I could see it in his eyes. Acknowledgement. Counting. Then they were fired. He went back to talking to the other person as if I didn't exist. He didn't say anything to me for 3 hours. I told Derek and his new wife how happy I was for them. I grabbed my mom, and she held my hands and said, "You look so beautiful." Then, when my dad yelled her name, she jumped and ran back to him. Cousins looked at me with pity. Some people were curious. Some people are uncomfortable. And then I heard it. I made sure to sit near enough to my father's table during cocktail hour. Not clear. Close enough. A man pointed at me. "Howard, isn't that your daughter?" "Why?" he inquired. My dad didn't think twice. "Oh, yes," he responded in a calm voice. "She's doing a little better these days." The man frowned. "Better?" "Still unstable," my father said, his voice calm and trained. "But we have hope. Doctors say the medicine works." The man looked at me again. "She seems normal." "That's what mental illness is like," my father replied in a serious tone. "You can't always tell from the outside." I stood still with a glass of champagne in my hand. I knew what he was saying. But seeing him lie about me while I was 15 feet away, alive, doing well, and breathing destroyed something inside me. This wasn't fear. This wasn't a case of being confused. This was a choice. Then I felt a hand on my arm. "Derek." "I'm sorry," he said quietly, looking at our father. "I don't know how to get him to stop." I stared at him. "Do you trust him?" "Please," I said softly. He looked down at the floor. That stillness told me all I needed to know. My mom discovered me at the garden doors near the end of the night, when visitors were starting to leave and the sun was sinking over the golf course. "Come with me," she said softly. She took me outdoors, past rose bushes and stone walkways, to a peaceful part of the terrace. When she put something in my hand, her hands were shaking. A little black USB stick. "Here, take this," she said. "Don't tell your dad." "What is it?" "Why?" I asked. Her voice broke. "All of it. All of the emails. Every text. All the lies he told about you. I copied everything." I looked at the drive with my heart racing. "How do you even get to, I know his passwords," she responded angrily. "He thinks I'm too dumb to figure them out." She took a deep breath. "I've been watching him do this to your name for 10 years, she remarked. "I couldn't stop him. But I could salvage this." "Why now?" "Why?" I asked. She cleaned her eyes. "Because I saw his face when you came in," she continued. "And I thought, if I never say anything, this will never end." I hugged her tighter than I have in years. 3 days later, I was back in Chicago and alone at my desk. I plugged the USB into my laptop. I didn't open it right away. I told myself I needed some time. The truth was that I was afraid. I felt terrible when I eventually clicked on the first file. There were over 50 papers. Messages. Screenshots. Logs of chats. All put together by date. Years of my life written down as lies in my father's voice. Iris is having another episode. Don't get in touch with her directly. She won't get help. She can't live in normal society. And then I found the email that made my hands shake. Robert Chun, a developer, got it. I knew the name right away. Years ago, he had come to me regarding a big project. My first real break. The agreement fell through at the final minute. My dad's email was very direct. Don't hire my daughter. She isn't stable. You'll regret it if you bring her on. I shut my laptop and cried until I couldn't breathe. He didn't just tell a fib. He had ruined my plans. In a quiet way. With care. For a long time. After that, I took that USB disk with me everywhere. In my bag. In the pocket of my coat. Like a wire that is live. I didn't know how to use it. Until Eleanor invited me to lunch. I told her everything. She didn't say anything while she listened. She asked me one question when I was done. What do you want to do? I had no idea. I wanted to show him to everyone. I wanted to shout. A part of me was just tired. Eleanor bent over. When I won my first big award, she added, my dad told everyone I slept my way to the top. I looked at her. What did you do? Why? I asked. I kept winning, she said. Until the truth didn't need to be defended. Then she stopped. She whispered softly, you're on the short list for this year's IIDA award. It's live on the air. Something clicked within of me. A stage. A real one. And for the first time in 10 years, I felt like I had some power. There were 6 months between that lunch and the email that altered everything. For 6 months, I lived 2 lives at once. Everything appeared tranquil on the outside. Work. Get-togethers. Due dates. Moving forward. I had a secret inside me that was so weighty it bent my spine. The USB disk was in my desk drawer. I didn't open it again. I didn't have to. I already knew what was inside. Proof. Years of falsehoods. A paper trail that couldn't be explained away by feelings or hyperbole. I wasn't waiting for bravery. I was waiting for the proper time. The email came on a regular afternoon. My inbox updated while I was looking over the floor plans for a small hotel project. I looked at the topic line once. Then again. Then I leaned back in my chair and looked at the ceiling as I waited for my heart to slow down. I had officially been nominated for the IIDA Award for Design Excellence. Ceremony in person. Broadcasting around the country. Hundreds of thousands of people are watching. I called Eleanor right away. I said, I just got the email. I've been nominated. I know, she said in a calm voice. I told you your time was coming. I let myself think about it for the first time. The lights. The space. The quiet before a name is spoken. And my dad is somewhere far away. Still telling his narrative. A week before the event, I put on the dress and stood in front of the mirror in my apartment. Green with an emerald tint. Custom. Not on the shoulder. Heavy in the right way. It made me feel like I had been through something. I had 2 speeches ready. One was safe. Thankful. kind. The kind of speech people forget before they eat. The other one sat folded in my clutch. My phone rang. Derek. His message said, "I just found out you're nominated." Well done. That's a lot. I wrote a thank you. Then another message came. Dad is throwing a party to watch the ceremony. My fingers stopped moving. Derek writes, he asked all of his business and golf friends to come. He doesn't know you've been nominated. I carefully sat down on the bed's edge. Why is he looking? I typed. Derek said, one of his clients is paying for the event. He thinks it's a good way to meet people. I looked at the screen. He lied to everyone. He told everyone to be careful of me. Everyone in one room. Seeing it live. There was one last message. Derek wrote, "I think it's time for you to do whatever you want." I didn't say anything. I went back to the mirror and gazed at myself. Not the girl on the porch. Not the girl who booked the room. The woman who had made something strong enough to stand on. The ballroom of the Grand Hyatt looked like it was from a movie. Chandeliers that look like stars. Tables that go on and on. There were 500 persons in the room. And beyond them, there were cameras. Eleanor stood next to me in silver backstage, as calm as ever. I admit it, I'm scared. She held my hand. She said, "Remember, the truth doesn't need you to yell." The producer came over. "Ms. Mercer," he continued, "your turn is in 15 minutes. My mouth got dry. I felt the folded paper in my purse. Email from my dad. 10 years old. Still crisp. The ceremony went by quickly. One category after another. Applause that rises and falls like waves. Then they told me what my category was. 4 names. Last was mine. And the winner is. Everyone in the room stopped talking. My dad was probably halfway through a statement and had a glass halfway to his lips in Connecticut. Iris Mercer, for the Meridian Hotel Collection. The sound hit me like a wall. Clapping. Songs. Eleanor's hands on my back pushed me forward. I stepped into the spotlight. Each step felt unreal. I thought the prize would be lighter. Chilly. Strong. I walked up to the podium. I peered out at the people. After that, I glanced right at the camera. I could see it well. The room where you live. The guys in polo shirts. The moment his friends looked at him. I started by saying thank you. The group. My group. Eleanor. The clapping stopped. I took a deep breath. But I have something else to say. The room was entirely quiet. I opened the paper. I responded, my father told everyone who would listen that I was mentally unstable for 10 years. A low voice spread through the room. That I couldn't get a job. That I turned down therapy. That I was a problem. I stopped. I stayed quiet, I said, not because I was ashamed. But because I knew words wouldn't be enough. I read the email. Every word. Exactly as he wrote it. When I was done, the silence seemed heavy, not strange. I didn't say sorry, I said. I went. And from that day on, my dad told people I was sick to explain why his daughter was missing. I looked at the camera. This is my answer, Dad, if you're watching. I'm not crazy. I'm not broken. I worked hard for this. The only thing wrong with me was being born into a family that didn't think girls were worth spending money on. I held the award up. This isn't payback. This is proof. For one heartbeat, no one moved. After that, Eleanor got up. Then there was another individual. Then one more. The room stood up as one. And I knew that my father's phone was ringing somewhere far away. I don't recall leaving the stage. The sound is what I recall first. Applause that was so loud it hurt. It felt like pressure on my chest. Then they put their arms around me. Eleanor. She pulled me close and said the same thing over and over. You did it. You did it. My legs were shaking. Not out of fear anymore. From release. I had been holding my breath for 10 years. My phone blew up backstage. Messages piled up so quickly that the screen couldn't keep up. The notifications all looked the same. Calls that went unanswered. Messages. Emails. Alerts on social media. A producer came up with big eyes. He stated, "The clip is already going viral. We are getting requests from big news organizations." Do you want to know? I answered right away. I was astonished by my voice. There was no noise. I went on, "What I said out there is all I have to say about my dad. I don't want to talk about him anymore. I want to discuss about my job." He nodded and then left. The ceremony went on in the ballroom, but something seemed different. People weren't looking at the stage anymore. They were looking at their phones. The clip garnered more than 100,000 views in less than 30 minutes. It had doubled by the time I got to my motel room. I didn't see it. I already knew how it looked. It reached 3 million 2 days later. The headlines wrote themselves. An award-winning designer tells the truth about his father's lies on live TV. The email that put an end to a falsehood. The truth doesn't have to shout. I turned down all of the interviews. Every show in the morning. All of the podcasts. Every deal for a book. I didn't want to be famous for getting through my family. I wanted people to know about what I made. But once you let the truth out, it has power. Messages came in waves. People I hadn't heard from in a long time. People in my family who stopped talking to me. Friends of the family who trusted him. People at work who were told about me. "I'm so sorry. I should have asked about it. I didn't know." Some of the apologies seemed real. Some people felt like they were going to die. One email made me stop breathing. From Robert Chin. He wrote, "I owe you more than an apology. I owe you an explanation. If you want to." For a long time, I looked at the screen. I answered then. "I hear you." That night, I didn't see what transpired in my dad's living room. But I didn't have to. Derek told me later. When my name came up on the screen, his watch party got quiet. Men who had laughed at my father's stories turned to him. First, confusion. Then recognition. Then there are questions. "Isn't that your daughter? The one you mentioned was not stable. She just got the biggest honor in her field." My dad tried to talk. Tried to make it clear. Tried to make it smaller. The screen didn't care, though. The email didn't care. Truth doesn't argue. It just stays there. My mom called a week later. She wasn't talking quietly. She said, "I watched your speech 17 times. I'm very proud of you." Then her voice altered. "I broke up with him. I shut my eyes. I got in touch with a lawyer," she said. "I'm asking for a divorce." One falsehood fell apart, ending 36 years of anxiety. "I should have been brave for you," she added in a gentle voice. "When you were 22. I said, "You're being brave now. That matters." I heard strength in her voice for the first time as an adult. Derek called a month later. Not a text. Not a brief note. A real talk. He said, I knew what he said about you wasn't true. For a long time. I stayed put. I didn't say anything, he went on. Because saying something would have meant admitting that everything I had cost you. There was silence between us. He said, I was a coward. And I'm sorry. It wasn't letting go. But it was the truth. And that was something. Then my dad sent me an email. The first DM in 10 years. He said it was a betrayal. Asked for a retraction. He said he was keeping me safe. I read it twice. Then I scribbled one last answer. I didn't make you feel bad. I told the truth. It's not my fault if the truth makes you feel bad. This chapter is over. I blocked him. And something odd happened. The sound stopped. No more waiting. No more going over talks in my thoughts. Stop looking for an apology that will never come. His voice no longer had anything to do with my healing. A year later, I became a partner at my company. Not because of the speech. Because of the job. I put my name on the glass door. Iris Mercer. Partner. I now help pupils learn. The ones that owe money. The ones who don't have a safety net. People inform them that their dreams were not realistic. I don't tell them about my life. I show them what they can do. By times, I stand by my office window and watch the city light up as the sun goes down. And I think about the girl who was in the rain. The suitcase that was ripped. The 47. The door that was locked. She didn't know what would happen at the end of the story. She just knew she had to leave. And that was all. If you've been erased, lied to, or told to be quiet, and you're listening to this, keep this in mind. Not saying anything doesn't indicate you're weak. It means you can choose when to talk. And when you eventually do, make sure the truth is powerful enough to stand on its own. Epilogue: the world didn't end after the speech. That caught me off guard. There was no big collapse. No quick justice. There was no clear moment when everything became clear. Life just went on. But something important had changed. I woke up without a knot in my chest for the first time in 10 years. There are no messages waiting. No story to fix. I don't have a version of myself to defend. At first, the quiet felt strange. Almost risky. Like the calm that comes after a storm when you don't know if it's really finished. I kept thinking that something else would happen. Another email. Another charge. Another try to bring me back to his view of reality. It didn't come. Instead, the consequences came softly. Within a few months, 2 contracts vanished from my father's business. Long-term partners who had trusted him for years suddenly had grounds to reevaluate. His name wasn't on the new list when the board of a nonprofit he had been on for 15 years announced a leadership restructuring. The country club didn't take away his membership. They didn't have to. Derek said that the invitations stopped arriving. Conversations become shorter. When they spotted him, old friends crossed the room. Reputation doesn't blow up. It wears away. I didn't do anything to celebrate this. I didn't feel like I had won. I felt fatigued most of the time. I'm tired of carrying a story I never asked for. Tired of being powerful in ways that no one else can see. The prize was on a shelf in my office, where it caught the sun in the late afternoon. I didn't look at it very often. It had done what it was supposed to accomplish. A year after the wedding, I stood in my new office for the first time. Windows from floor to ceiling. Lake Michigan looks like it goes on forever. My name was carved into the glass door. Iris Mercer. Partner. There were two objects on the wall. The first thing was the award. Not in the middle. Not really dramatic. Just there. The second was a tiny watercolor that Eleanor handed me after she left her job. The skyline of Chicago at sunset. She wrote on the back, "For Iris, who walked the whole way by herself." After that, I developed a program to help others. Once a month, students sat across from me. Some people have two occupations. Some people kept their dreams from their families because they didn't believe in them. Some people were carrying shame that they couldn't name yet. I never told them what happened to me. I didn't have to. I just showed them what they could do. I almost said no when my mom asked me to come see her new apartment because that's what I usually do. After that, I left. It was little. One room. There are plants all over. Simple windows let in a lot of light. There are no crystal chandeliers. Don't be afraid. Pictures on the walls. One of them is of me at graduation. I did the decorating myself, she remarked uncomfortably. I said, "It's beautiful." And I meant it. We sat at her kitchen table and drank tea while talking about things that weren't significant. And for the first time since I was a kid, I felt like I had a mom again. Derek and I get together once a month now. Dinners that are quiet. No shows. He has a girl. A girl. He gave her the name Grace. He sometimes shows me pictures on his phone. Her little hand closed around his finger. Her eyes were intrigued but not scared. He once promised me, "I won't do to her what Dad did to you." I trusted him. I still haven't talked to my dad. I don't know whether I ever will. I used to think that mending meant he had to say sorry. Not anymore. Some people will never say they were wrong. Some people care more about their lives than they do about their kids. And waiting for them to change simply keeps you stuck with them. I stopped waiting. Late at night, I sometimes stand at the window and watch the city change from gold to purple to dark. And I remember the girl in the rain. The suitcase that wouldn't stay closed. The $47. The door that was locked. I was ashamed of her for years. She was embarrassed that she asked. She was embarrassed that she needed aid. She felt embarrassed that she was turned down so severely. I can see something now that I couldn't see before. She made it. She didn't stay where she wasn't appreciated. She didn't go away. She turned into me. If you can relate to any of this, if someone has lied to you, ignored you, erased you, or urged you to be quiet, listen up. People who won't see it don't get to decide how much you are worth. You don't need to hear an apology to heal. And your success doesn't depend on proving anyone wrong. It's about finally having faith in yourself. You don't have to yell to tell the truth. You just have to live it. And at times, the best ending is the one when you leave and never come back.